Greetings gamers, I am voivodemekhet, and welcome back to the introductory series of World of Darkness 5th edition. And today we're building a vampire. Building a vampire in Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition is a very simple process. The core book itself has a system on how to create a vampire that is done fairly easily on page 136 and 137. This character creation summary goes through everything in bits and pieces, which is exactly what we'll be following today. This is a character sheet for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. As you can see, it's broken up into several parts, which we've discussed in earlier videos. I got this character sheet off of Mr. Gon's Rock Solid Shells. Going over the parts of the character sheets, we have basic information for your character. Your character's attributes being the physical, social, and mental capabilities of your character. Your secondary attributes, which will be decided by what you choose for your primary attributes. Your character's skills, what they're capable of and the things that they have picked up during their life. Your character's disciplines, or their supernatural abilities. The basic morality restraints on your character from their Chronicle Tenants, Touchstones, and their Clan Bane. The various advantages and flaws that both advance and hinder your character's progression, along with more advanced information about your character's personality and a section for notes. As I've said before, to build a character sheet in Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, really all you need is the core book. The basic information and everything that you need is in here. To run a full game of Vampire the Masquerade, including all of the clans and an expanded look at the disciplines, you may want to consider the Player's Guide, where multiple books have been put out by Renegade for the World of Darkness. All of them have various information that go in all sorts of directions. If you want to play a Banu Hakim, they're located in the Camarilla Guide. If you want to play a Ministry, they're located in the Anarch book. If you want to play a Lasombra, they're located in the Chicago book. The Hecata are located in the Cults of the Blood Gods. And if you wish to play a Ravno, a Salubri, or a Tzimisce, they're all in the Companion. However, Renegade was nice enough to go ahead and put all of these late arrival clans for 5th edition in the Player's Guide. So to run a full game of Vampire the Masquerade that includes all sects and all clans, these are the only two books that you need. The first thing that it says in the Vampire the Masquerade core book for 5th edition is to think about your core concept. What was your character's name in life? What did they do? Where and when were they embraced? What is their name now? Where are they now? Write down the character's name on the relationship map. We're not going to be doing much on the relationship map. That's something that you want to do with your entire game. So first, let's go ahead and think of standard information for vampires that we can have here. In this character creation guide, I've gone ahead and decided to make a character sheet for one of my most used NPCs in my game, Thicker Than Water. So I filled out the basic information that I need to know about this character. His name is Miles Trent. The Chronicle is Thicker Than Water. His sire is my NPC, Vincent DuPaul. His concept is Scholar. His grand ambition in On Life is to write a comprehensive guide to kindred life. His desire is to avoid the politics of the Anarchs and the Camarilla. He's a bagger predator type, which means he purchases or finds bagged blood in one way or another, and he belongs to Clan Bruja. His generation, I'm going to go ahead and leave blank now because that actually depends on how many points you wish to put into your blood potency later on. Before we get too far into character creation, I want to go ahead and put all the bonuses on the character that he should be getting for being a bagger. First would be his skills. As a bagger, Miles is either going to get a specialty in the larceny skill for lockpicking or the streetwise skill for black market. For this character, being a scholar, I decided that I was going to use black market because that could not only come in handy with obtaining blood, but also be used for obtaining more information he needs to further his personal goals. Aside from that, as a bagger, Kindred gain 1 dot of blood sorcery if they're Tremere only or obfuscate. Obviously, Miles being Bruja, I went ahead and gave him that free point in obfuscate for being a bagger. Now, where the core book says Tremere only, I think personally that was taken in consideration with the idea that only the Tremere were in this book who have access to that. Personally, I would allow the Banu Hakim, the Ministry, and Clan Zamitzi to take that advantage as well. Now, down to his advantages and flaws. As a bagger, Miles is also going to gain the Iron Gullet merit, which allows him to drink dead blood because he's, at this point, used to it. Most Kindred can't, but with the Iron Gullet merit, he can. Miles also gains the enemy flaw at 2 points with the bagger predator type. The description says either someone believes you owe them, or there's another reason you keep off the street. Now, filling in attributes. The book description says to take 1 attribute at 4, 3 attributes at 3, 4 attributes at 2, and 1 attribute at 1. For this character, since he's a scholar, I chose his intelligence to be the highest. Then I went ahead and chose his manipulation, or his lying and ability to manipulate people to do what he wants, to be a 1. That kind of gave me the idea of where the balance was going to be for this character. Then I spent the time to figure out where exactly the rest was going to go based on what kind of character I wanted to portray. Your secondary attributes are done very simply. All you have to do for health is figure out what your stamina is and add 3. So with a stamina of 2, Miles is going to have a health of 5. The way I like to visualize health on a character sheet is I fill in all the negative health. That way I can still write my slash marks and my X's as he takes damage. Willpower, on the other hand, is literally just the sum of your composure and your resolve. So, if my composure is 3 and my resolve of 3, his willpower is 6. I fill this in the same way I do the health. Next, we move on to skills. The way the book suggests doing this is you pick a skill distribution set. You can either be a jack of all trades, which has many skills at lower levels, a balanced character, which has a good amount of well-diversed skills, or a specialist, someone who specializes in a select set of skills that can be used for a select purpose. The way I tend to do things is I go through the character sheet and I decide what skills this character is specifically going to need. Then I count up how many dots are distributed and then find out if that fits into one of the 3 categories more than the others. So I'm going to go ahead and get that going. So these are the skills that I've picked for Miles. These are just the basic things that I know he's going to want. Now, if you break down all of the different skills that you get for the different specialization types for putting together your skills, the Jack of all trades has an availability of 19 different skills that go on your character sheet. The balanced has 15 and the specialist has 11. This character sheet has marked of 15. So now all I have to do is decide which ones are more important for Miles. As a balanced character, he gets 3 skills at 3, 5 skills at 2, and 7 skills at 1. 3 skills at 3, 5 skills at 2, and 7 skills at 1. These will be able to grow as Miles gains experience on his character sheet, but this is where he is. Now, the next step that we need to worry about for skills is the skills of academics, crafts, performance, and science all get a free specialization. Given the fact that Miles has crafts and academics, I gave him a craft in cars because he builds cars, and I gave him history for academics since he does mostly archaeological work. Now, at character creation, you also get to take one more free specialty of your choice. I chose a free specialization in insight for Kindred because Miles spends most of his time studying the different ways that kindred work in their society. The next thing we're going to work on is our disciplines. The book says that you get to choose 2 of your clan disciplines. You put 2 dots in one and 1 dot in the other. As a Brujah, Miles is supposed to have potence, celerity, and presence. Since I get to put 2 in one and 1 in another, one of these is not going to get filled in. So I've decided that Miles is going to get 2 points in potence and 1 point in presence. And then we get the joy of trying to pick out which disciplines he's going to get. Since Miles is a relatively nice guy who does most of his work just trying to get along with people, I'm going to go ahead and give him awe for presence so that he has a little bit more of one-up in socials. Under potence, I'm going to give him lethal body and relentless grasp. Since he's a bagger, he also got a free point in obfuscate. And since Miles spends most of his time trying not to be noticed in Camarilla Elysiums and Anarch hangouts, I'm going to go ahead and give him Cloak of Shadows. And those are Miles' disciplines, all ready to go. Unless anything happens to change it, Miles' humanity should be a 7. And unlike the health and the willpower, I tend to fill in the humanity from the front to the back, unlike the other way. That way you can still mark off stains towards the end of the character. Chronicle tenets are something that's going to be decided by your entire game. In Thicker Than Water, which is typically an Anarch game that I'm running, we tend to use the street code, which is located on page 173 of the core book. Touchstones and convictions are a little bit different because these are what flesh out your character's humanity and morality reasonings in life. Touchstones are going to allow you to disregard some of the things that happen when you break chronicle tenets. So it's a good idea to always have always and never statements when you're talking about your convictions. And the touchstones are those individuals in your life who remind you to stay human. Now, for Miles, I chose 2 touchstones, so he also gets 2 convictions. Lillian Trent, his mother, taught him never turn your back on someone in need, and Daniel Rosenberg, his father, taught him that knowledge should never be kept secret. So those are his touchstones and convictions, and they also, as an NPC, push him in the direction of helping people and also giving exposition. Now, as for the clan Bane, that's going to be decided on what clan you take. Now we're on to advantages and flaws. In the core book on page 136, it tells you to spend 7 points on advantages and take 2 points of flaws in addition to the ones gained for your predator type. If you're playing a thin blood character, you must take between 1 and 3 thin blood merits and the same number of thin blood flaws. Alright, so those are Miles's merits and flaws filled out. He has a resources of 2. He's got a haven of 2. He took the business establishment merit, which basically means that his haven is also a business, which is Trent's Scratch and Dent. He has some allies. He is disliked by the Anarchs because they want him to pick a side. And also, if anybody did any kind of background check on him, they would find out that he was a known corpse because he is known to be dead in the state of Florida where he's from. Okay, and next is the Sea of Time portion of this, which is actually where things get a little bit interesting, because this is how you decide where your blood potency is going to sit. Usually you get together with your storyteller and the other players and you decide where your coterie is going to fit in this game. So is this a child's coterie, where you are embraced within the last 15 years? A neonate coterie, which would be sometime between a decade ago and 1940, or an Enceli game, which is embraced between 1780 and 1940. So there's actually a lot of different things that you could choose in this one. For us, for this game, I typically say that we go ahead with neonate, making him between 12th and 13th generation with a blood potency of 1. Giving him 15 XP to spend on his sheet. So let's go ahead and do that. Give him a blood potency of 1. And then we would want to fill out what kind of information comes with having a blood potency of 1. Located on page 248 of the Player's Guide is the revised blood potency table. The table that is found in the core book, at least in the original printings of the core book, are outdated. You can also get a free copy of the revised blood potency table on the Vampire Companion, which you can download for free at worldofdarkness.com, which I will again put a link in the description. But as it is, you should not actually need the player's guide to get the revised blood potency table. Now we also get another 15 points to put into this character at character creation as a neonate. As an Ancilli, he'd get 35 experience points, and as a Childer, you'd get 0 extra points. So again, it really depends on what your game decides. But since he's a neonate, he's going to get 15. There is a experience trait tracker located on page 137 of the core book. I'm going to just go ahead and put the 15 points into this character in various places that I think they could be helpful. Okay, so I went ahead and I spent those 15 points. I bought a point of manipulation. That's 10 points. That is 5 traits per level that I was putting into it. So I bought up to the second one, that being 10 points. And I bought the first point of celerity, which would be 5 points for him for rapid reflexes. So that is 15 points altogether, putting into this character, marking him right now as a 13th generation Brujah. Now, obviously, as an NPC, I'm going to have to doctor the generation a little bit, just because he already has a sire, and I know what generation Vincent de Paul actually is. So, but this is basically the character sheet that I will be using for now for Miles Trent as I use him in my games from now on. I hope that this look at Vampire the Masquerade character creation was helpful for you, and you are able to build your own characters with this. I do want to remind everybody that within the player's guide, there is also an instant vampire creation, which really does help you out, which is very nice because it lets you choose between playing a fighter, a social individual, or a mental character, and also has a wide variety based on the tarot system of how you can build your character and make them fleshed out for the type of thing that you're trying to portray. If this was helpful for you, please put a like on this video and share it to anybody who you think this might help. Also, please leave a comment down below to try to get the conversation on building characters going and open up a dialogue with the community. I am voivodemekhet, and this has been an introduction to how to build a character for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Please remember, this is our World of Darkness.